Hey, this is India with Bags and Lifestyle. Thank you so much for watching this video. Today, we are talking about what's trending in fashion, fashion news, all of those things. And we're going to be doing a more pre-owned, pre-loved handbag accessory focus for today. Okay, because there's a lot going on in the pre-owned community. Okay, so first up is going to be, if you have not heard, Chanel has won their court case against What Goes Around Comes Around. There were 4 counts that they won on. I would just say overall the big theme of this court case was copyright infringement, which they did win a $4 million settlement, I guess you can call it, against What Goes Around Comes Around. I don't know whether it's really called a settlement, but I'm not a lawyer. But also, this is a good point to say, this is my opinion. I'm not saying anything as fact or anything like that. Make sure you're checking out the articles that I will link down below that I have pulled up. There's a lot of articles on this, but I'll specifically link the ones that I've looked at. And I encourage you to read over that information, formulate your own opinion, all of those things, because I'm just talking. This is nothing but me just sharing my own opinion, and that is it. Okay, this is not any facts. Okay. So anyway, so there's a few things that I wanted to talk about related to this case that were very interesting and a little bit scary. I definitely will say, no, I'm not gonna say a little bit scary. It definitely is scary, especially if this continues on. Okay, so first up is going to be what I found to be interesting is the fact that there was a clash of opinions between the two with using the founder, who is Coco Chanel, her quotes. And I thought that was interesting. I don't know what happened to it, but this was an article that I saw where they listed out the timeline, which I thought was very helpful. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, because I use quotes. I know a lot of people do this, companies, individuals, and they'll post them on social media and things like that. And what does that mean if that was in Chanel's favor? If that even made it to if that is even included in this whole award, this case that they won. I don't know, but I just thought that was interesting. Another piece that I wanted to mention here is the fact of what came out is this testimony around these. I want to say it was either 30,000 or 300,000. I did not make a note, and if I'm looking over here, it's because I have my laptop up because there's so much that I couldn't even write everything down. There was either 30,000 or 300,000 serial numbers that were stolen, and there was some testimony that had to happen with that. So there were some serial numbers that were stolen out of a factory, and there was a lot of anyway, that made its big debut feature into the court case, which was very, very interesting to see that as well. Also, I know that I think in the pre-owned community, there were a decent number of us that knew about that. And I knew that there are a lot of companies that's why you had certain authentication companies that they caught wind of that when it happened, and they decided they're not going to authenticate certain versions or certain serial numbers because of that situation. Before I go down a rabbit hole with that, the other piece is going to be the question of vintage. I thought that was very interesting in Vogue's article where they talked about that, where I'm just going to read a little bit of that piece that they talked about there, which is the question of the definition of vintage, ultimately deciding that there isn't a legal definition. It says this case could help determine that definition as one with a high burden of proof. An item being made in a Chanel factory isn't enough to render it authenticated or vintage, she says. The court found that the item has to bear a Chanel serial number and be put into its system. Based on that fact, so many brands are now manufactured and white labeled in the same facilities. Items being registered in a brand's system is the only real way to show authentication. Show authentication. I'm sorry about that. The brand serial number is what gives its resale value. So that was very interesting because if you know a lot about a lot of detail about kind of the pre-owned side of things and how their Chanel serial number system was not in place at the very start of the production of their bags. And there are definitely some bags out there that are vintage and we believe them to be authentic. and they don't bear a Chanel serial number because they were before that system was put into place. So what happens with these items? And so I believe in the court, so it's, yeah, so big question about what happens with these items now that they're already out on the market. How are you going to create serial numbers for things that you don't have in your possession? Very interesting. Okay, so overall, the big implications from this case. Now, I don't think it's over. I think what goes around comes around. First off, the fact that what goes around comes around can be battling with Chanel for this long, since 2018, and they are still in the fight, and then also they are still operating business, is major. And it is very important, and a lot of people are watching this case. And so there are, like I said, I think what goes around comes around will, I think, file another motion or whatever you call it to counter the judgment here. But right now, Chanel is in the winner's seat. And this is going to create problems for people who want to sell their own items, people who want to post photos of their items that they own, people who want to sell, sellers, people who have businesses around pre-owned and want to sell these pieces. This has so many implications. And when I say content creators, I don't just mean people like me who are making YouTube videos or other content and they're doing it on a regular basis, whether you're getting it's free or you're getting paid for it, but also me, everyday Joe Schmo Billy Poe, where I just want to post a quote of Chanel with a hashtag of Chanel and put a photo of my Chanel bag. And the reason I say that is because also some things that are been happening on Instagram, which is people's posts as well as their accounts have been taken down, suspended. People are losing their accounts because they've been using, one of the reasons it seems like is because they've been using the brand's hashtag. Well, this feeds into this copyright infringement case that Chanel just won. Just want to say that. So I'm just connecting the dots a little bit here. Probably will have to go into it a little bit further and when I put some more cohesive thoughts together on it, but wanted to mention that and go ahead and get that out. Okay, so let's move on to our next pre-owned topic. Our next pre-owned topic is and I will have those articles linked down below like I mentioned, and then also anything that I'm referencing that I have something to link it back to, I will link either a channel name, a article, or whatever down below. So make sure you open up that description box because there's a lot of information in there. Okay, so quick segue over to a different pre-owned topic. But before I do that, if you're at this point in the video, I appreciate you so much for either trying my channel out or continuing to come back. I just really want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead and hit the like button right now. Also, please go ahead and subscribe. If this is not your first video, please just go ahead and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, throw a comment down below if this is interesting to you, if you have questions, if you, I don't know, if just whatever, just put those comments down below, please. That all of these pieces help build my channel up. And I will ask for one more favor, which is if you know somebody who enjoys lifestyle, fashion, as well as hair care type of content, please share my channel. I'm trying to grow my community. You guys are amazing and great, and I really do appreciate it. And I would like to ask you to share it with somebody else. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our next topic, which we're going to talk about luxury thrifting. Now, my definition of luxury thrifting is when you go to the thrift store and you find a nice item, or you go on Poshmark and find a nice item, or you go to ThredUp, somewhere online marketing like that, you go to Fashionphile and buy a luxury piece. All of that to me is luxury thrifting because you're getting a luxury item, but you're getting it at a deeply discounted price. Okay, so all that to say, and I know that's not the case for everything, but we're not talking about that. Okay, so there was a lady who she likes to go thrifting. She shared this situation that happened to her on TikTok. So I will link her TikTok video if I can, as well as the name at least of her TikTok channel, I guess, account, whatever they call it over there. So that way, if you want to check out the video, you can. But she wanted these Prada loafers, missed out on them. The Prada loafers retailed for $1,200. And she saw them in a local Denver Goodwill. If you did not know, Goodwill does sell their kind of creme de la creme items online. So you can go to shopgoodwill.com. It's in a auction format and you can bid on pieces. Now, there's a mixture on there, just like there's a mixture at eBay and everywhere else, like Poshmark and all over, that some items are authentic, some items are not. So you do really need to pay attention to what you are looking for and make sure you know what you're getting. I will definitely say for the items, I'm getting down a rabbit hole. Before I get down a rabbit hole, let me finish the lady's story first. Okay, so she got these shoes. She's like, oh my gosh, these are pristine condition. They are $300. I really wanted them, and they were $1,200 retail. So she bought them, shared them on TikTok, and some people that are familiar with products started telling her in the comments like they don't look authentic. There's things that look off about them. And against her better judgment of things that she was noticing and kind of like making excuses for in her head because of the excitement, right? Like you find a good price Prada pair of shoes that you wanted. Why not go for it, right? Okay, so end up being that the item was not authentic. She did take it back to Goodwill, and they took the item back and gave her her refund. They also assured her that they will not sell those shoes anymore. I will say from my personal experience, there have been things that I've seen on Goodwill, Shop Goodwill online, that were not authentic. And I did message them and say, hey, this is not authentic. And they immediately thanked me and shut the listing down. Goodwill is very good about that, I will say. However, there's a variety. So each Goodwill, they run their own kind of store basically, and they upload those items themselves, and then basically they're shipped from there. So you can get some gems, but just like anywhere in pre-owned, there are risks to it. And I can talk about that a little bit more if you guys are interested. Throw that down below if you want me to talk a little bit more about shopping on Goodwill online and jumping more into the pre-owned side, because I do periodically do videos, which I had done one recently on that, of like overall arching things to look out for when you're looking at listings, and take those as red flags. So I'll link that at the end of this video, so if you're interested, you can see that out. Watch it. Also, I will say that I am going to start a service where I will help you find pieces, because my friends and, people say like, what do people always ask you for? That maybe that could be something like a side hustle or whatever. And I thought, well, my friends and family do ask me to find pieces for them, or ask me like, is this a legitimate website, or what do you think about these brands? So I do want to offer that as a service. I will put a link down below to my website. So if you want to check that out and just see more information on how I'm going to offer that service, you can see that down below, and we'll go from there. But anyway, all that to say that there are red flags to look for. There are also things that you do to have to be careful. And so I mentioned this because you do have to be careful. And what is a larger risk is the fact that when you are shopping in person, you really need to be knowledgeable, or you need to be ready to sit there and dig to make sure that you're not seeing any glaring issues when you're shopping in the store. Like I said, kudos to Goodwill, because they gave her money back, and they also said they won't sell that item, which is great. Also to mention here that something that I recently saw, which I hadn't even planned on talking about this, but it came up yesterday because I was watching two videos. Dee Bean and then also Caleb Snell mentioned a situation that happened with her and a Coach bag that she purchased. I will link both of their videos down below as well, so you can check that out, because I still stand by shopping pre-owned, but you really have to be educated and make sure that you are doing your due diligence as much as you possibly can. Nothing is foolproof, but do your due diligence, do as much as you possibly can, and making sure that you start small, right? And being very familiar with what you're buying. That's what I'll end that with that. Get off my soapbox. Okay. All right. So, and by the way, I'm not offering an authentication services for the record. It's not going to be an authentication service. I'm just going to help you find pieces, but you're still going to have to do your own authentication work, but it'll be just, I can take a look at it and say, oh, that don't look right. Okay, help narrow it down is pretty much what I'm saying. It is my service that I'm going to offer. So if you, for example, if you want a Prada bag, I'm getting too far in. But anyway, so it will not be an authentication service, but it will be a kind of concierge shopping service to help you find a pre-owned piece that you're looking for. And I'm sifting through it to make sure that, at least there's no glaring red flags from what I see, and then you make your own choice from there. But anyway, so let me move on. So the next topic, I was like, look down below, and then I keep explaining because I felt like I was leaving too much open to interpretation, so I wanted to at least say that. But there'll be more information on the website. But I just want to be clear, it's not an authentication service. Okay, so next up and last topic is going to be thanks to Closet Full of Cash. If you do not follow Closet Full of Cash, make sure that you do on Instagram. I find out about so many breaking news pieces that are related to pre-owned secondhand through Closet Full of Cash. So they do an excellent job. And they share information about Fashionphile. Fashionphile is a beloved, well-respected, one of the industry leaders in the pre-owned luxury space. And they have purchased 2 Authenticators, which is interesting. I did not know that they were actually getting into the wholesale business. Rebag does a wholesale business. I know this because when I used to sell through my consignment shop online, I had gotten on their list to have items that I could purchase at a discounted price, so then I could put those on my site. So it was like wholesale. Also, I know there are some other companies that do wholesale, but Rebag comes to mind. So it looks like Fashionphile is getting into that too. And they purchased 2 Authenticators. I don't have the name of the Authenticators, but it's interesting that now they are getting into the wholesale business and they're acquiring certain businesses that are going to help them get there and help them where they have gaps. So that is very interesting to see that business move by Fashionphile as well. Let me know your thoughts. Throw those comments down below. Thank you so much. Don't forget, please go ahead and like this video before you go. And I will see you again next week. Bye.